Jim, before Dusty Rhodes noticed Ray Traylor's athletic ability and had the idea to repackage him, were there any other wrestlers considered to be your bodyguard? Also, if Ray Traylor had not been chosen and Dusty had suggested the idea of a bodyguard and asked your input, who do you think would have fit the role?
Well, first, let me explain. The answer to the first question is no, there was nobody else, because the reason, I guess it's hard to explain. I think the better bookers don't decide to do something and then find somebody to do it. They find the guy they want to do something. Dusty didn't have an idea to have anybody be my bodyguard until he saw this big athletic fucker, baby-faced, fucking ring outfit looked like shit, no fucking tan, flabby in a singlet, 22 years old. Was he 22 years old yet? Might have been still 21. But he's 360 pounds, and he's and I mean, you remember the Atlanta TV job guys of the time, and there were, for every Mike Jackson or George South that was a, polished pro worker, there was tons of guys who, were trying to live the dream and doing their best. But where else are you going to find grown men to get literally beaten up by the Road Warriors or stretched by Ronnie Garvin or chopped by Wahoo McDaniel or whatever, different every week? It was, so that's what you had to put up with. And anyway, Dusty sees Ray Traylor, that size, 6'6", 360 pounds, knows he's only had 5 or 6 pro matches, but and the guy gets no offense in. He did a job for the Midnight Express. We beat him up. Tully gave him the slingshot suplex, but he saw the job he did, the way he moved, the way even his shit looked, and Dusty was creative, and he knew that, you can't teach size, but also this guy, I can tell the way he moves in the ring. I'm in Dusty's head. I can tell the way this guy moves in the ring. If he's 22 years old, here's going to be a big heel. And I got an idea. How can we bring this guy in and feature him, even though he doesn't really know what he's doing? He can be a bodyguard or somebody out of the ring. Who around here needs a bodyguard? Well, legitimately, I think had 3 fans come over the rail at me in the previous month. So it wasn't hard to figure out, what about if Jim Cornette's mama from Louisville, Rich Mama, sent a bodyguard who's supposed to be this badass guy? So he was a combination. Dusty just told him to be a bodyguard and bring a suit, right? And the first time he brought a suit, and I suggested across with the Peter Gunn music, boom, 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 boom. And I said, get a hat, look a little gangsterish or a little fucking Secret Service-ish or a little whatever the fuck, and come up with that shit. And, and never smile, never fucking show any emotion and sell nothing. That was obviously Dusty said, don't sell anything. I said, don't even smile. We just pitched in on shit. And then he could stand ringside with the Midnight Express, the 2 best heel workers in the company. I'm sorry, Tully and Arn, Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey, and watch these matches with the Rock and Roll Express and the Road Warriors and Dusty and Magnum. And he can see the top guys in the business. And then as he got him in the ring a few months later, he could work with the top guys in the business and be protected, because since he was Big Bubba and he didn't sell, he didn't have to do that much. But he started being able to do so much shit so quick, and it looked so different from everybody else's, that he got over. But that's what Dusty's thought was, and it wasn't hard to follow if you think about it that way. And then he knew he wanted to keep, because he knew that he could, if nothing else, steal a house, like they used to say, build a guy that can't do anything up because other guys can around him until he gets to the big star, and then sell out and beat the guy and he's gone because he's the shits. He knew he could steal a house with a gimmick like Big Bubba Rogers, but he wanted to see if he was going to have longevity, so he gave him that opportunity, and he milked it for quite a while. And then finally, he and Dusty said, there's still never been more people pay to see a wrestling match in Pittsburgh than Dusty Rhodes and Big Bubba Rogers. And Bubba hadn't been in the business a year at that point. he learned quickly and adapted, but he had the cocoon there to get a crash course and on the job training. But it wasn't hard to figure how you make money with a guy like that if you're Dusty Rhodes.
I know you weren't there, but I always enjoyed the match where he won the UWF title from the one-man gang. It's pretty early in his career, all things considered, but it's actually a really good match.
Yeah, and Gang was another guy who could really move as a big man. He was probably, besides Bubba, in that period of late 70s, mid 80s, they were the two biggest, and Bam Bam Bigelow. But, so you had Bigelow, Bubba Rogers, and One Man Gang come along about the same time. I would have loved to seen. I liked Big Boss Man as a gimmick and I guess it was more marketable. But God, he was just always Bubba to me, and he just seemed more like himself. That I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's the way I got to know him.
He was great with you guys, but I also am a big fan of Hercules Hernandez as your bodyguard. Yeah. I love those matches in the Irish McNeil Boys Club where the Express are in the ring and you're doing your thing and he's facing the camera with his arms crossed at ringside because he has his eyes looking at it in case, Boyd Pierce wants to take a shot at you. He's ready for that.
Well, and that was another example of kind of art imitating life or whatever the fuck, because at the time I needed somebody at ringside because I think the cops were even getting aggravated because when I'm on the floor and all four guys are in the ring doing some violent bloody shit, even whether I've interfered or not, people knew that, okay, here's my best chance to get Cornette. Then they'd come over there and the cops would have to tackle him. So with Hercules Hernandez and when we did it at house shows sometimes too, and see, sometimes he didn't go out on all the house shows with me. He was just on it at TV because he was working on the house show also, and they didn't want to spoil his pop or whatever. But he would stand behind me and look at the crowd at the house show too, and that way people would say, okay, I don't care whatever else is going on. I don't think I can get by that motherfucker. So that was good for my health for a while.